Wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Same. Thanks.
So, before we get into your good work, I want to know, the biggest thing that rocked us as people 5 years ago was this pandemic. It did so many things to us in so many ways. How did you get through the pandemic, and how has it reverberated into what you do today?
Yeah. Um, it was a very pivotal part of my entire life, of my career. And ironically, when things started to shut down in the spring of 2020, I thought, and I think a lot of people thought, it was only gonna just be a couple weeks
Yeah.
and we'd get back to normal. So I was working for the Walt Disney Company. I had like 18 and a half years under my belt. I was in a role where I traveled once, sometimes more, sometimes twice a month out on Disney cruises. And so, of course, that stopped, right? But we were put on furlough, and like our whole department, I mean, most of the whole company was furloughed
Yeah.
in some fashion. And so during that furlough time, I just had a lot of time on my hands and started brainstorming things that I've always wanted to start my own business, and what could I do that would be fun that I could do on the side? And once I got back to work, it'd be something, I just have to spread my wings a little bit. So I came up with this idea of doing mobile spray tanning, which is interesting. Like, usually people are surprised that that was something I wanted to do. But anyway, I started, doing my research and everything. And then I got the call saying your position was actually eliminated and you won't be coming back. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I guess I'm really gonna do this spray tanning thing. So I start getting my ducks in a row for that business, which included building my own website, which I had never done. And so I took the time, built the site, launched the business, and a couple weeks later had one of my colleagues ask me to do his site because he had started a business. He also had his job was eliminated at Disney. So, kind of the same path. So I did his website and I thought, I'm enjoying, like, I really like doing this. And so that's when I started putting it out there that I'll do websites, and it started to snowball from there. And that's how everything changed.
Yeah. So, what did you want to be when you were a kid? What was your dream life?
Oh man. I thought I was going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And I went to school, or went to college rather, thinking that was the case, but I wasn't 100% sure. It's just that people kept telling me that I should be a teacher. I think more than me truly wanting it. So I ended up going in to communication arts with an emphasis in public speaking, and a minor in psychology is where I ended up landing.
Okay.
And then, when once I got out of college, like a lot of us, we end up doing something that's not even related to our degree. But yeah, so essentially, when I was a kid, thought I wanted to be a teacher.
So the one thing that we all know about Disney is that when you get in there, everybody that works there, the crew is exuberant. There's a different hum to employees that work for Disney. What was the best thing about working for them?
I think it would be being surrounded by that caliber of person in general. So, hospitable people, people who are um, welcoming and caring and friendly, just all those things you think of about when you go there that you run into, whether it's behind the scenes or we call it out on stage. It's working with people who are just super nice, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, that would be for sure be the best part.
So you've clearly gotten to a point where you found your place, you found your entrepreneurial spirit. Ultimately, at the end of the day, who's been that inspiration for you in your life to evolve, find who you are, and become who you are today?
I think it's a collaboration of many people. I know that may seem like a cop out, but I really try to surround myself with people who I call smarter than me, who are maybe more experienced than I, and lean on them for different things, depending on what I need in that sense. But I mean, my family has been an incredible support throughout my whole life, and it's not lost on me that not everybody, is so lucky, and I wouldn't be where I am today without them. But I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and I moved to Florida with no job. I had just what I could pack into my car. I wanted to work for Disney, but didn't. They had a hiring freeze at the time because that was post 9/11, so that's going back a few years.
Yeah.
And but was able to get an apartment, and I started out with I had a air mattress and some plastic patio chairs, and that was it. And what I fit in my car.
Yeah.
And just I waited, but I ended up getting a job in the meantime to until Disney opened up that hiring freeze. But within about a year, my sister graduated college and said, "Hey, do you care if I move down there with you?" And I'm like, "Sure, come on down." So she came down. And then a year after that, her boyfriend said he wanted to move down. And so he came down, and then they eventually got married. And then, gosh, about 6 or 7 years ago, we got my parents to come down. And so now my core family unit all lives here.
Wow.
They all sort of followed suit. And anyway, and he works for Disney as well now, and it's worked out. So yeah, um, a little like different people. Family is for sure
Yeah.
been my rock.
So, if you can meet anybody in the lore of Disney, anybody that existed from Walt all the way down, you could meet them and hang out with them and ask some questions. Who would you love to have met?
Yeah, it would be Walt. I
Yeah.
mean, if you would have just asked me anyone in the world, he'd probably be on my short list regardless. But especially if you say related to Disney, the Disney company, I would choose wanting to talk to him. I think partly because I don't know if anyone else has this curiosity, but like Disney, markets themselves as a, pretty like a family, wholesome type company. And I'd just be curious if he himself had that type of
Right.
personality. So just to talk to him that way and find out like is he like how his company turned out, I guess. That in itself just would be super interesting. But then, his drive and, he was told no so many times and rejected. And, yeah, so it would be super cool and interesting to chat with him.
And you come from the land of Mr. Rogers, and Fred, from what I understand, was the same on camera as he was off. He was the real deal. I just read a book at the beginning of the year because I needed the positivity in January as we went into this new year. And it was amazing how much of what he did on camera was exactly who he was in real life.
Yeah, that's a good like a very interesting parallel, really. Because yeah, he was. I mean, obviously famous, but like a true rock star
Yeah.
of a human being
Uh-huh.
in that area. Yeah, and I grew up watching the show, of course, when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're
And that's
right.
the land of Mary Lou Williams. She ended up coming to Kansas City. She started there and came to Kansas City and kind of learned her craft, but it all began in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I actually don't know who Mary Lou Williams is.
She was a pianist. She was an unbelievably talented jazz pianist, like one of the, and unfortunately, because of the times and the male thing, like she could have been one of the best pianists of all time. She was amazing, but she was born in Pittsburgh and then came to Kansas City when Pendergast had this city open during Prohibition and all of that, and really grew
Oh,
up here
wow.
and learned
Okay.
from, Bird and all of the musicians that were here because everybody came through Kansas City. So anyway,
Oh,
that's where it began.
yeah.
It began in Pittsburgh, PA. So, um,
Yeah.
but so let me ask you this. How have you found the balance between taking care of your soul every day and doing the work and being an entrepreneur? What's your philosophy?
Ooh, well, I'm almost embarrassed to admit that I am not good at that.
Right.
I'm getting better, but when it comes to balance and um yeah, I so the taking care of my soul, the way I do it now is really spending time with my family. I am very, very close to them. That probably has come through. But my folks are, they're moving up in age, and I actually just cherish any time that I can spend with them. But yeah, that balance thing, and I work more than I should. We'll put it that way. Yeah, I've gotten better and have more boundaries and like don't work on the weekends. I used to work almost 7 days a week, like with this business. Not at Disney. Disney was a normal kind of setup, but yeah, I was there at the toward the beginning. I was just I was even putting in like 15, 16, 17 hours a day, doing some crazy hours that way, but now I have a team, so that has helped a lot into to gaining some of that balance. But when it comes to nourishing my soul, it's with my family for
Yeah.
sure.
So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've done and accomplished and become, what are you the proudest of?
I think being a good person,
Yeah.
like just uh, uh, my word is it's very important that, what I say I'm going to do. I treat people how I like to be treated, and sometimes, you get disappointed because you think other people would do the same, and it doesn't always happen that way. But I'd say it's just yeah, I guess turning out to be a good like I feel like almost everyone has family that they took way different paths, right? And I'm glad that my parents raised me the way they did, and that I turned out the way that I did, and um yeah, so it just I'm proud of being that person. I being that person I'd like to see in the world, kind of thing.
Yeah, I get it. So let me ask you this. Let's say you had a dream tonight. You ran into that version of you right before you closed the door and left Pittsburgh to go to Orlando. Ready to go down, get into Disney, a different lease on life, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've accumulated over all this time. What advice would you impart on that young version of you?
Let me think on that for a second. I would start out by saying, don't worry, it's all gonna work out. You're gonna be all right. I don't. it worked out the way that it happened. I don't know if I would have the guts now as a more wise person to move to a completely different state um, in my early 20s,
Yep.
not knowing anyone, not having a job. Um, it was just pure faith, I guess,
Yep.
it was just I knew it's what I wanted to do, and I was determined that if I lived in Florida, Disney would hire me. Um, and so I would just have to tell her that it's gonna work out. Just stick to your guns
Yep.
and always do the best that you can.
So let's say you walk into a room of people that you've worked with throughout the years at Disney and all of your clients now, and you could walk to a podium in front of that room and tell them one fun story. First concert you ever saw, jumping out of an airplane, wrestling a crocodile, outrunning a bear, something really fun. What would you tell that room?
Oh, I would tell a story about when I was in college. My boyfriend at the time liked to golf, and so we did a date day and went out on the golf course. I didn't golf, he did, and so I would ride along with him. And so this particular day, we're out there, and there were some guys from the football team, I think. I didn't necessarily know at that point, but they were teeing off, and but they saw that it was just him gonna go. So they told him to play through. So he hit the ball, and went on out, but kind of went off to the side, and then he hops back into the golf cart and just puts the gas down, and we're going along, and I'm realizing we went too far, and I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "To get the ball," and I said, "It's back there." And he didn't hit the brake and cut the wheel, and I flew out the side of the golf cart and rolled a couple times on the green, and he freaked out, and he jumped out. He's like, "Oh my God, oh my God," like just freaking out. And then I was there laying face down and just started laughing. I didn't get hurt. Like it was a miracle I didn't get hurt, but I couldn't stop laughing I think it took me a couple hours to stop laughing.
It's
And
awesome.
so it was just one of the funniest things that happened to me. And we still not like just anyone that knows that story will still
Yeah,
talk about it once in a while to
that's
this day.
awesome. That's a great story. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I
Who do you think
am?
you are?
I don't even know. I have no idea. Like, I don't know how to answer that, I guess.
So, yeah,
Help me on that one.
because it's weird
Like
because
not necessarily the answer, but like where maybe tell me.
this
I
is
have
the
no
thing.
idea.
So everybody that hires you sees you in a certain capacity. Your
Okay.
family sees you in this historical capacity as the daughter, sibling, however that matters. Everybody at Disney that worked with you saw you in a different light, but ultimately when you wake up in the morning and you go out into the world, you are the one that's in control. You maneuver who you are and the way the world's going to see you. So ultimately, what is it that you think you project to the world?
I think that I'm the kind of like I'm an approachable type person. So it's been a joke before about how random people will just walk up to me and talk to me, or think like if I'm shopping in a store and they just think I work there and ask me a question, or
Yeah,
if they don't think I work there, they'll come up and just ask me. So somehow I'm this like friendly, approachable person.
yeah.
And I mean, I that is who I am. Like try not to judge a book by its cover. I just, yeah, I'm just a pretty easygoing, but
Yeah.
yet have an edge to me where I'm determined and ambitious. So, yeah, I'm like, I guess the girl next door type person.
Yeah, I get it. So if anyone wants to hire you, they have questions, they want to reach out, what's the best way to do that?
Maybe through my website. It's kwmediadesign.com.
Okay. Sounds wonderful. You did great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Send my
Thank
love to
you.
Orlando and best of luck with everything.
Same to you.
Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.